Today's the day we get ourselves the full actual announce of the Silence and the Fury DLC for Total War Warhammer 2. So in this video today, we're going to be going over the newest trailer, that full-length trailer that kind of extends the original teaser that we got, going through some of the Jabber Slice and the Gorgons, all the awesome Beastmen action that's coming out our way, and then we'll go through the blog/FAQ that Creative Assembly released and talk a little bit at the end about what kind of content I will be releasing for the kind of marketing ramp up before the release of the Silence and the Fury. And as always, guys, if you are enjoying this content, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun action. Like I said all the time, it helps a ton. And if you have not yet pre-ordered Silence and the Fury, you can do so using the Nexus link in my description. You'll get a Steam key directly from the developer, and it helps out the channel a ton. Let's get started with the trailer here for the Silence and the Fury. Moving into this, and we're just going to be taking a look at some of the stuff we get, some of the juicy things, and we'll talk about what they were as we come into the kind of post-trailer analysis. And this is kind of right where the last one left off. We have Oxyotl kind of looking down into this big cavernous cave, which a lot of people talked about hearing the kind of like of a Jabber Slice, like the Predator clicking. We get a little Taurox action, and Oxyotl as he tracks his prey. He who hunts unseen. Some of the new skinks over the top here. Him going all over the place, and we got a little glimpse of the Oxyotl in that image far to the left. And again, Taurox just looking really girthy. Lot of steroids for Taurox. Here's where the first one left off. Right into that cave, and then out of that cave comes the Jabber Slice. And oh my god, he has a vagina mouth. And it is disgusting. Look at him. Oh my god. And get the new skink champions or skink warriors of some sort shooting their destruction upon the Jabber Slice. And then we get some other fun actions in Taurox. Look at his throat. Look at his axes. And we got some other little guys coming to the fray here. We got Troglodons, we got the Skink Oracle, then the Oxyotl swinging up over top, then the Gorgon slapping things apart with his hand blades. This is awesome. Yeah, it's great to see so much of the Beastmen things that a lot of people have wanted for a long time coming to life. And look at the balls on this guy to shoot this thing with a dart. Granted, I mean, that's how he killed a greater demon, so it's neither here nor there. But let's look into some post-trailer analysis of some individual parts of this trailer. The first thing to look at is, of course, the Jabber Slice. You saw it just kind of pounding and flapping and flying and squirting its way towards Oxyotl, so it is awesome to see one of the other really big requested units in the Beastmen roster as far as, well, its beasts go, being added in. And we'll talk about a lot of the things that are in the FAQ as well to give a better idea of some of the other stuff that is coming to the Beastmen. But it is great to see the Jabber Slice added in with all of its disgusting glory. And we'll do a little Beastmen unit showcase in the future in the coming week or so as we can get closer to the DLC embargo to show off what that Jabber Slice looks like in Total War Warhammer 2. Next up, we have the new Chameleon Stalker unit that adds an ambush unit with an explosive dart first strike ability from the FAQ. And we saw that in the trailer as they shot their darts all over the Jabber Slice and they were exploding everywhere. Now, the Chameleon Stalker itself has its roots in the actual Chameleon unit. The Stalker was the leader of the unit, and this has just been blown out to actually represent an entire unit in Total War Warhammer. And we've had this happen before with other units in the High Elf roster and so on and so forth, taking that leader of a different unit type and just making it its own unit type in Total War. So this is what they've decided to do, to make an infantry variant of the Chameleon Skink, which is otherwise a skirmish style kind of advanced range unit with Vanguard. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays itself into Silence and the Fury and its DLC. Continuing on with more Beastmen, we get the Troglodon finally added into the game, and it looks like we've got some variants here. That looks like a skink oracle placed upon a Troglodon, or at least some form of skink. Like I said before, in the actual 8th edition army book, the Troglodon had a skink oracle on top of him. So there was no kind of feral Troglodon in 8th edition, but it looks like we get one right there to the left of him, and then possibly a Regiment Renown version to the left from there. It's hard to tell. The Troglodon was called the Pale Death in the book, and it had a white albino look. And we get that kind of very similar look with the far left version, and the one to the right of it has got the same coloration as the Skink Oracle version. So it's weird because I expect the Troglodon to be a white beast, an albino beast. So I'm not sure which one of those is the Regiment Renown, but I think that one of them definitely is. And it's a little weird to see non-albino coloration either way. So curious to see how that works out. The FAQ states that the Troglodon is a poison-dealing monster that can also shoot their venomous spit, which is effective against larger targets. And for the Skink Oracle hero, a spellcaster with access to a unique selection of spells from various lores. Now, sweeping over the battlefield, we get another Lizardman guy with the Oxyotl. And this is one that I have speculated about and really wanted in the game for a long time for the Lizardmen, and it's pretty sweet to see it brought to life here. Now, we don't get like an example of its abilities, but the FAQ says, highly intelligent, very scary, and able to hide their allies, which is pretty nifty, and bring forth lightning with their magic. So I assume 1 or 2 bound abilities is what that sounds like. Perhaps the Chain Lightning or the Thunderbolt ability, maybe even Common of Cassandora or something of the sort. Stuff from the Lore of Heavens is what it sounds like. And I'm really curious to see how that hide their allies works. If it's a persistent effect, if it's an actual targetable ability, if it is ability you cast and it causes an AoE shroud, whatever it is. Very curious to see how the Oxyotl will be coming into Total War Warhammer 2. Then lastly, we get him, the Gorgon, his 4 arms filled with weapons. Good God, he looks badass. I think of all the units added in the DLC, he's the one I am most hyped for. The FAQ states he is a giant and mutated minotaur, deceptively fast and perfect for taking on larger enemies, and perfect for a Taurox themed army. So very excited to see how this goes. Obviously, it says taking on larger enemies, so I expect him to have an AP anti-large style profile. Any other kind of things added on are just going to be gravy on top of the glory that is the Gorgon. Jumping into the FAQ, let's take a look at the new units that are coming, the new lores, heroes, everything for the Beastmen and for the Lizardmen. Now, of course, as a heads up, I have this ahead of time, so I'm just kind of looking through a picture here. Now, also, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I do have the game, and I cannot talk about certain things because of marketing embargoes. So as I get closer to those embargo times, I'll be able to talk about them in depth. So some of the things that it alludes to, I'll be able to talk about in the days and weeks that are coming up to the launch of the DLC July 14th. I just want to be totally transparent with you guys on that. So looking at the new units, we have for the Beastmen, the Doombull, the generic Lord version of Taurox, the Wargore, which is a nice little perpetual, well, not really perpetual combat, but a combat hero for the Beastmen carrying a mason shield. They are brutal leaders for their kin, improving their fighting capabilities. We've got the Tusk Gore Chariot, beast-drawn chariots with Vanguard deployment, the Gorgon Monster, as we saw, the Jabberslythe, a powerful, horrifying fusion of toad, sludge drake, and insect. Area of effect attacks, debuffs, and worth as much as a Charlemagne. Now, into the Lizardmen, we get the Skink Oracle, the Chameleon Stalkers that we've already taken a look at, the Oxyotl, and the Troglodon. We've taken a look at each and every one of these things. Now, we don't have a generic Lord version of Oxyotl. We didn't get the Skink Lord Astromancer of any sort, so there are those things to kind of take a look at. We are not getting a Lord with the Lizardmen is what it looks like. There's also a selection of new Regiment Renown units that are coming for both factions. Now, as far as the unique mechanics for both Taurox and Oxyotl, let's jump into those. Also, before we do, look at this part. More details on both Legendary Lords and their unique mechanics, as well as the big upgrades coming to Beastmen and Dwarfs, will be detailed in the coming weeks leading up to a launch on July 14th. The Dwarfs getting that final touch, baby. Stoked to hear it. So let's talk about those Beastmen. So Taurox, as well as benefiting from the Beastmen redesign detailed below, rampages through the land with the ability to rapidly move from battle to battle. Defeating enemies, raising cities, and other acts of wanton destruction give him momentum, which allows him to rampage even further. A single turn for Taurox can encompass many battles, raising of settlements, and blood flowing. His other powers all enhance this, creating more and more power in a region as he serves the slaughter. He begins in the Obsidian Peaks region at the western edges of the New World. So over here, over in Nagaroth, in that overall region, we're going to be finding him towards the southern portion before we jump through the isthmus into the southern portion of the New World. So right below where the Dark Elves are. Now for Oxyotl, he is let's read his portion. Oxyotl is a stealthier but no less dangerous foe. He exploits and develops these silent sanctums that exist around the world, and his intimate knowledge of the machinations of chaos allow him to locate and battle threats to the natural order of things regularly. This makes him extremely mobile on the map, and he is never caught trespassing in enemy territory. As a natural enemy of chaos and the greatest of living skinks, he gains bonus experience fighting the former and is an expert at leading the latter. Kin with any climate, Oxyotl begins his campaign in the cold north of the Deadwood. And again, this is far, far to the north, northwest of Ulthuan, east of Nagarond, and that kind of little stretch of land that goes right at the very top of the map. So, to be totally honest, I would have seen their starting positions reversed because it shows Beastmen on the 7th or 8th edition Warhammer Army book for the Dark Elves as inhabiting a lot of the western portion of Nagaroth and the northeastern portion of Nagaroth and a little bit into the south. But I would have really expected to be that reverse because that would be Oxyotl would be starting closer to Lizardmen. He's going to be kind of isolated in that starting location, right? He's not going to have any natural allies. And when we look at the Obsidian Peaks for Taurox, it won't matter if he has any allies because he's Taurox. He's just looking to just bulldoze through things. So excited to jump into those guys and show off their mechanics when we can. Also, the free patch, there'll be two major parts of the free patch that lands with the DLC. Updates for the Beastmen and smaller but still significant changes to one more faction you'll find out about tomorrow. I think it's the Dwarfs. Didn't they just say that a paragraph ago? Either way, the Beastmen will update their destructive horde nature, but allow them to temporarily settle down in a region around a herdstone. And this is something that I talked about in my proposed mechanics for the Beastmen, is really trying to bolster that herdstone mechanic and have it be something that is big for the Beastmen as a means of gathering their forces. So it'll be exciting to do a deep dive into those new mechanics. This forms the central theme of Taurox's campaign to appease chaos, but all Beastmen factions will be able to interact with them. Once the land around a herdstone has been raised and harvested for all the slaughter it can offer, the Beastmen will move on, leaving true destruction in their wake. So we have got tons of new stuff to talk about, guys, especially a new Dwarf Legendary Lord, mercenary reinforcements, and a new Beastman hero. So tons more to talk about. Everything leading up to July 14th with the launch of the Silence and the Fury DLC. There's just going to be so much stuff. So be on the lookout for a big video coming out tomorrow. It's going to be covering this new Dwarf Legendary Lord, as well as some other fun new mechanics added to the game. There is so much juicy stuff in the final DLC for Total War Warhammer 2, so it's going to be a nice send-off before we jump headfirst in Total War Warhammer 3. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget, if you do want to pre-order Silence and the Fury through my Nexus store, it does help me out a ton. You'll also get the 10% discount that you would get if you went through Steam and you just simply get a Steam key. So like I said, it helps me out quite a bit. But go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you're most excited for about this DLC. There is, like I've said so many times now, so much coming, so much I can't really talk about just yet, but I'm really excited to jump into a lot of the goodies coming our way. But as always, have a good one and take care.